Hello and welcome to Working Wednesday. My name is Jennifer Tenney and I'm coming to you live from the Center for Excellence in Disabilities at West Virginia University. Thank you for joining me. Today we're doing a special edition for employers, and we're going to talk today with my friend Doug about low-cost assistive technologies that employers can use in their workspaces to help their employees. So hi Doug, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So can you tell me, why does an employer have to provide a reasonable accommodation?
According to the ADA, an employer is required to make an accommodation for an employee with a disability if they request it. So it must be requested by the employee.
Okay. So if an employer is unsure about providing this kind of accommodation, what would they do?
Well, first you sit down with your employee and you can talk about what accommodations they expect or what they could work with. You also have to look at your company and see if it will cause any undue hardship on the company, according to your expenses, how much it'll cost, and also if it's even feasible to the infrastructure of your building. If all them things are capable of being done, then the accommodation must be met.
Okay, so do you also look at like coworkers and how an accommodation would impact a coworker, or is it just about the employee that needs the help?
That's part of the undue hardship, especially with service animals. If service animals are considered an accommodation, so if a coworker is allergic to dogs, accommodation would try to be met, maybe move employees around different shifts, but that is considered still, yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Well, that's very good to know. So can you tell me a little bit about WIVATS and what you all do? And I know you all have a lending library. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yep. WIVAT stands for West Virginia Assistive Technology Systems. We are the state AT program. We have a federally funded grant that allows us to purchase assistive technology, house it here with us, and then we can loan it out to people in the state for free to try out. There's no requirements as long as you live in the state. So you can, if you're an employer, you can loan something from our library that's on our website, try it out with your employees that need the accommodations. And then if you find it works for that employee, then you can purchase it yourself and save you some money in the long run.
Yeah, great. And I will say that I've used this Friends myself for a personal accommodation for a family member. It's really great to help them learn which piece of assistive technology would work best. So I know the word accommodation is really scary to employers because they see dollar signs.
Sure.
So can you tell me a little bit about the types of, how much does a typical accommodation on a job site cost?
Accommodations can range from something as small as a key guard to slap onto a keyboard to prevent multiple keys being hit, to as much as a ramp that could cost several $1,000s.
Okay.
So they range, but I think today the low tech is really the way to go, and we can definitely help people out with trying to decide which is best for them.
Okay, can you tell me one of the barriers that maybe your office gets called about on a job site? Can you think of one?
We had a call from a major retailer. Manager had a employee with low vision. They worked on a cash register just as everybody else shares registers, but this person could not see what was being displayed. They asked if we had any solutions. We were able to help them find magnifiers that would slip over the cash register.
Oh, wow.
That employee could then use whatever register they wanted because that could be moved.
Oh, it was portable. That's great.
Right.
And approximately how much was that accommodation?
And that was a simple accommodation of, I think, $20.
Great.
And that was found at several different places. Because the alternative was that employee would have to learn a new task or be moved to a different department, which neither the employer or the employee wanted to do.
Okay, great. So that's a great example of a very low cost piece of assistive technology that an employer can purchase for an employee that benefits everybody.
Right.
The employee gets to keep their job, the job that they want. The employer gets to keep a good employee, and everybody's happy and able to do their job. So that's great. So I know you have all these fun things behind us. Can you tell us a little bit about some of these things?
Some of our low-cost AT we have with us today is this is something simple with somebody who needs help touching one key at a time. So this would be a pointer that would slip over their hand, and then they would allow them to hit one key or one button at one time. That's a very easy low-tech cost. Along the similar, this pointer can wrap around your hand. It has a wristband, but it also has the ability to touch your electronic devices with the thing at the end.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
So it could easily be used to push buttons with a telescoping lens or telescoping. We have your simple magnifiers. This one has a light on it. Very low cost. This is the key guard we were talking about. This will slip over a keyboard and allows somebody to push one button, as the button will now be recessed into the key guard.
Great. Wow. So, and all of these items that you're showing us are items that can be loaned out, correct?
Yes, all these are loaned out for 30 days for you to try them out. You can then request them for an extension if you need to try it out longer.
Okay. So those are some things for like office-y stuff, but I'm seeing some fun like things over here as well. So can you tell us a little bit about maybe jobs that aren't traditional office jobs?
Right. Accommodations, a lot of accommodations usually thought of in the office setting because these are jobs that people with disabilities do. Well, we don't like to limit anybody. We think if you want to do that job, there's a way for you to do it. We do have several AT that are outside the job workplace for the office. So here we have a headlamp. So if your job requires you to use flashlights or anything like that, this is a simple way to keep your hands free, make everybody safer. We brought a pair of gloves that would cut down any vibration that would send through the nerves or anything like that. So these are good for shoveling, any kind of laboring. We suggest a pair of good gloves. Your knee pads work really well. Anytime you're bending over, have to spend a day in the dirt or on the ground, suggest knee pads for anybody with arthritis in their knee.
And these are all items too that I noticed that really could benefit all
Yes.
employees at a work site, not
Right.
just a person who has a labeled disability or is asking for the accommodation.
That is correct. And we also try to suggest people to try this stuff out before you need the actual help itself, to prevent them issues of needing accommodations. So if you start out now using a wrist guard on your mouse pad, maybe that'll cut down you having carpal tunnel in the future.
Very good. How about this machine back here? This looks like a good piece of.
This is a low-cost communication device.
Oh.
It comes with 9 settings with several different levels. So this can be for somebody who is nonverbal that wants to be in with the public. This will allow them to set whatever appropriate responses they need for that task, whether it be, how are you, or do you require anything else, or can I help you find something? So this can all be programmed for the task that person is trying to do.
Cool, and once you program it, you can reprogram it again for a different task, right?
Right.
So if somebody's trying to learn multiple jobs,
Mhm.
and they need specific prompts, they could put them
Right.
there.
And
Very cool.
With the 5 levels, you can have this for work, and you can have different levels for home, or if you're out.
Well, that's really helpful. Then you don't have to have multiple of these or reprogram it all the time.
No.
So there's 5 different, so really 45 settings
Yes.
on this machine that would allow a person who has difficulty communicating to be able to communicate with somebody.
That is correct.
That's awesome. Okay. So what else you got for us?
We have what we call a pocket talker. This is a simple listening device that somebody can clip onto your belt for somebody who has low hearing or problems hearing. This will allow them to not miss stuff in meetings or just in talking with clients. It can be discreet. It doesn't have to have the headphones. There's the simple earbuds that can be plugged into. So this is a really nice one that allows
Do some of those come with recording devices as well to perhaps record the meeting, or does that one?
This one does not have the recording. There are recording devices, just like a simple voice recorder that people can use with headphones that also amplify their sound.
Very cool. Very cool.
Here we have a couple different mouses. This is a finger mouse that'll allow somebody just to use a mouse on their hand. So if they don't have the ability to put their arm down, they can keep the mouse up here and be able to use both buttons. On the opposite side, somebody who needs a larger mouse, this is what this would look like. It has a ball for somebody who doesn't have the control of the fingers. And then you can also push the buttons these buttons come recessed, so you wouldn't hit more than one button.
Okay. What if you don't have the ability to use your upper extremities? Is there a mouse available that you could use if you didn't have the ability to use your arms or fingers?
Right. We have what's called a gaze. It's a gaze mouse. So you would be able to slip on a pair of glasses that have sensors, and you attach it to a computer that it can watch your eye movements and then use the computer without any hands.
Cool. And along the same lines, but a little bit different. I think you see some things advertised like this thing called Dragon, Naturally Speaking. Can you tell us a little bit about what that is?
Dragon, Naturally Speaking is a program that can be purchased and put on any computer that'll allow dictation through just your speech. It'll actually formulate itself to the user to learn accents and just quirks about people's voices. Along those lines, a lot of our computers that we have in workplaces already come with built-in accessibility features and under the accessibility tab of that computer. So that'll allow speech to text, Zoom features, and also narration.
Okay. Are there any places that teach, or can you YouTube? I'm assuming you can YouTube anything, but do you all teach the Windows accessibility, or does
we do? If somebody would call and ask us to learn about the accessibility features on their computer, we can sit down in our lab and show them the different features on their computer that would be beneficial to them.
And that lab is here at the Center for Excellence in Disabilities, and then you do have the ability to go to our satellite office in Charleston, right? So we also have the ability to go to Charleston to do any sort of on-site actual touching the equipment labs. Now, I do have another question. I know that outside we have this big shed. I recently learned that here in Morgantown area, there are 500 farms in our county, which amazes me. But you all have some assistive technologies for farmers, don't you?
We do. We have just recently purchased additional agriculture equipment. We currently have a device that will pick up chestnuts, acorns, small fruits that will allow you to pick them up without bending over. That's called the Nut Wizard, and you simply roll a device and it'll roll over the ground, pick up your desired material, and then you can just dump them right into a bucket. We also got in a fruit picker if anybody would wish to have a job in an orchard or something that will allow you to do it even from a wheelchair. You could pick up.
Cool. Yeah, I know that apple picking is really big in the Eastern Panhandle. So, yeah, that's great. So I know you mentioned a little bit ago about a service animal being a requested accommodation. What's the difference between a service animal as an accommodation and, another sort of animal?
A service animal is covered under the ADA as an accommodation if it's able to perform a specific task that is beneficial to the user. We get them confused with emotional support animals that are there for the comfort and the calming. Them are not covered under the ADA as an accommodation. So if your support animal can perform a task, that is considered a service animal. And again, that comes with hardships of if your workplace doesn't allow pets, stuff would have to be figured out as where the animal could be in certain areas, or if your coworkers, again, are allergic to animals, that might not be an accommodation that would be available.
Now, can your coworker ask the service animal to show a task, or can the employer ask if the service animal has a certificate? Like how do you determine what's a service animal?
There are two questions you can ask of a service animal or a handler. You can ask what task it performs, and but you cannot ask to demonstrations.
Okay.
It's only if you observe. The other question is if it's for your person with a disability. Them are the two questions that are generally allowed to ask. Anything over that is comes over you're encroaching on your disability.
Okay, great. All right. Well, is there anything else that you'd like to tell us? This has been great. So if you guys are employers out there, and you have questions about any of the equipment that Doug has shown today, or we have over 1,500 pieces of equipment.
Oh,
Right?
yes.
So we have lots of stuff here at the center. And as Doug said, it's all loaned out for free. Also, we also have a really good relationship with the Job Accommodation Network, which is a national organization, but it's based right here in Morgantown, just down the street. And how do they interact with you all, and how do they work?
We usually get calls if they're looking for accommodations, or we try to help out anybody who has maybe trying to come up with a solution. We can work with people. So if you do go to the website and you see something that's not on there, we do try to get items in regularly. So maybe that's something we can purchase to let you try. So if you don't see it on our website, please still call and we can try to find a solution to anybody's accommodation.
Okay, great. So the address for WebAds is on the webpage here. If you have any questions, you can always call the center and ask to speak with Doug or Jennifer. Not me, Jennifer, but I'll route you to the right person. But yeah, so if you have any questions, and even if you're watching and you think that you need an accommodation at work, or you'd like to ask your employer for accommodation at work, you could, like Doug said, let's try it out first, make sure that you like it, and then we'll take it to the workplace and see if it'll work there. And
right. And again, no accommodation can be done unless you request it.
Right.
So it must be requested.
Very good. All right. Well, thank you so much, Doug, for joining me today. I hope that you all enjoyed this and learned a little bit. If you have any questions, please feel free to call us, and I will see you all in a couple weeks for another episode of Working Wednesday. Have a great day, guys.